You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's UFC After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's UFC After Show.
Hello and welcome to UFC Afterbuzz TV. We have another doubleheader for you this week. We had 2 events over the weekend, also 4th of July weekend and Fight Week Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. Our own Jay Tan was there. We have UFC 175, Lyoto Machida versus Chris Weidman. And we had the Ultimate Fighter Season 19 finale, which was Frankie Edgar and BJ Penn. Also some awesome undercards. There was 2 weight classes in this division, but I'm Daria Berenato, Jay Tan, and
Hello.
George Hermoza sitting next to me. Yay. I'm excited about these ones.
Yeah.
More eventful than our last show, I think.
One more weekend of far more MMA than you can shake a stick at.
Yes.
A very big stick, even.
And you were there
Yeah.
in Las Vegas
I was
for
there.
all of it.
For I attended UFC 175. Didn't catch the. Didn't attend the Frankie Edgar BJ Penn TUF 19 finale, but went in there on was it Wednesday or Thursday, I believe, and stuck around, saw the UFC Fight Expo, and actually did a media luncheon for Art Davies' book that I'm working on. We'll just plug that bad boy right
Just
here.
happens to be right here.
Cheap plug.
There you go. Is This Legal? Available at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and AscendBooks.com. Talk about that more later.
I'm still waiting for my copy, by the way. But
You are not?
He gave you a copy last time.
Yeah.
He's trying to make him look bad on TV.
no, I'm trying to make it seem like that.
This
you
is
know-
what George does, guys. Yeah.
He was trying to be an anticipated fan of the book. He didn't get his copy yet. I think that's what he was doing
Selling
there.
it. All right.
Yeah. But Art Davie, check it out. Creator of the UFC, one of the founders of the UFC. Awesome read.
Yeah,
I
but
started it.
Plenty of fights this weekend for sure.
We have so much to talk about on this show because
Right.
not only do we have 2 cards, 2 events, 2 different days, but they were awesome cards.
yeah.
I mean, Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn. This is their 3rd fight. I'm just gonna run down the list here. I'm gonna start with UFC 175
From Saturday.
From Saturday night. Uriah Faber versus Alex Caceres ended in submission, rear naked choke in round 3.
Uriah Faber taking that
Faber. Yep. Then we had Marcus Brimage and Russell Doan. Russell Doan took that by split decision. Then we had Uriah Hall and Thiago Santos. That was a bloody one. Not that bloody, but a bloody toe. We'll talk about that later. There was a broken toe in that one. It was pretty nasty. That ended by decision, Uriah Hall. Then Stefan Struve and Matt Mitrione was canceled.
Yeah.
You were excited. I remember you saying last week, I can't wait.
This was the one I was most excited for, unfortunately. So Stefan Struve was sidelined. We'll just cut to this real quickly because there's not a match to talk about.
Absolutely.
He was sidelined about a year and a half ago with a heart condition, a aortic heart valve that was malfunctioning, and I believe it was congenital. Is the right word? Born with it. And so there were issues with it. He had to go through a battery of tests and see some specialists and stuff. And this was going to be his comeback fight. And against Matt Mitrione, that had all the makings of fireworks. Really excited for that one. Unfortunately, what happened shortly after we sat down in the venue, Bruce Buffer came on and announced that Struve had some kind of heart palpitations and apparently a blackout moment backstage. So they scratched the match at the very last minute. I got to go back to, I think it was a Kevin Randleman fight like over a decade ago where this kind of same thing happened, where the show starts and then something happens backstage and the match is scratched from the card.
A rare occurrence, but when it happens, it's, something's bad.
But hopefully we'll see that match happen in the future.
Yeah, that's definitely a well-anticipated match. They said, you heard Rogan saying he's fine, he's healthy, he's okay back there, but to take the match would just be,
Yeah. There's certain injuries you just don't want to mess with. I mean, nobody, as they say, nobody goes into a fight 100%. But there's some certain things, including the eyes, the heart, probably nose and
brain, head injuries.
Yeah, stuff like that. You just, if there's a reason to suspect, err on the side of caution, and don't go in.
I agree.
Yeah.
Next, we had Ronda Rousey versus Alexis Davis. I can't wait to talk about that. We'll spend 16 seconds on that coverage.
Who won?
Ronda Rousey won.
Oh.
Yeah, if you want to see the match, go check it out on Instagram.
Yeah, because it can
the whole
fit.
thing.
It was a 16-second match. Ronda Rousey won by TKO. They called it a TKO KO. I would say KO because she was sleeping.
Yeah, well.
We could debate that. We'll debate
then the main
later.
event.
And then the main event, Chris Weidman, Lyoto Machida.
For the middleweight title.
For the middleweight title. It went all 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Exhausting. 25 minutes of fighting. And Chris Weidman held his title.
Yep, retains.
He retains.
Really dominant performance there. It's funny, looking back, we just watched the pay-per-view on TV. It was the first time I'd had a chance to see it on TV. A much different experience, and I'd say even a better experience for me on TV versus live.
Really?
Here's what. It's really interesting. I'm still kind of digesting where it all was. Live, the crowd was definitely hot for their stars. Uriah Faber, big pop for him. He's still got it with the fans. Uriah Hall, the fans... Uriah Faber, Uriah Hall, Ronda, Chris Weidman, and Machida all are stars with the fans. They popped big for him, great reception. Weidman was really interesting in that I heard a lot of boos in the arena. He got a fair share of boos.
Really?
Before the match was announced, before they started it, and as he was walking out, there was a noticeable amount.
I see you shaking your head.
I was just gonna ask. I mean, were there Brazilians in the crowd?
There's a lot of Brazilians.
Okay.
Yeah. Brazilians. Obviously they've got they support Machida and they've got his back. They will travel from far to see something like this.
Right.
Especially there's certain annual events that the Brazilians will come out for to the U.S. and this show is one of them. I believe the December show because it normally has Anderson Silva.
And the World Cup, Brazil just lost really bad. Yeah. Maybe their fans are switching over to the UFC after
something like that. Yeah, but towards the end, the middle and end of the match, there were not quite dueling chants, but you heard USA chants a lot and very loudly, and then you also heard a lot of Brazilian chants from Machida, and even just simple Machida chants.
Right.
So Weidman, I think, continued to build his legacy as a star.
Right. Well,
it reminds me a lot of some of the other guys previously, like early matches of George St. Pierre or Anderson Silva, who had titles before they were really huge stars for the UFC.
Okay.
I think that's the future for Weidman.
And continue to grow after he won the title.
Yeah. And the same with Uriah Hall. My opinion, we'll run down the matches in a second, but the fans, Uriah is a really interesting character that I think we're also seeing evolve on TV in front of the UFC community and fanfare. He's been plagued with some criticism about not being the most aggressive in the cage. Dana has talked about it previously. I think he started to turn a corner here. The fans really want to like him. I wasn't totally over the moon about the match itself. It plays a lot more competitively on TV, and we've spoken about this in the past. Matches will come across differently live than they will on TV. This was, frankly, a better TV experience than live for me.
That's funny to hear.
The Uriah Hall Thiago Santos match is a great case in point. I was waiting on end. It was almost like teetering, waiting for the fans to start booing the match because I felt like there wasn't as much action as came across on TV. It was much more exciting on TV.
What we were seeing on TV and what we were hearing that you guys may have not. We were hearing the Joe Rogan and the announcers talk about how gruesome his broken toe was. We were getting close-ups on the skin tear and the bone popping out. Then we were getting close-ups on Uriah Hall's face, almost like charging and stalking, like you said at Thiago. I think it was really dramatic on TV.
Yeah,
because we got all of that.
They did show it in the arena as well,
Did they?
The toe, but you didn't hear the giant groans.
Okay.
In fact, what you did hear more noticeably than was on TV was when the fans saw the doctor go towards Uriah in his corner between rounds and talk. You know,
got scared.
Yeah, because you already had an inspector in there, so you knew that that other guy in the suit talking to Uriah was the doctor.
Oh God!
And as soon as the doctor and fighter are talking, you know, and you see something like a toe, you know, the shot of that, then you go, okay, this doesn't look good for the match itself. It might not happen, you know. So fans would actually start to boo the doctor, you know, as he's in the cage. And I think he was in there both between the first and second and third and fourth, second and third,
right.
And then when he would walk away, the fans cheered,
right?
You know, knowing that this match was going to continue. And yeah, I think the fans, they're sold on Uriah. I personally am not 100%. Well, insofar as he hasn't reached his full potential. I think I was even theorizing that maybe, you know, a change of training partners or a change of team might possibly. I feel like he's missing that killer instinct.
That's what has been speculated.
Yeah, when he finally finds that within himself, he's going to be an even more dangerous guy in there. He's got the skills, you know. And
we'll get back to Uriah.
Yeah,
we'll get back to
talk
awesome
about
fight.
I DM'd him on Twitter seeing if he'll call in, so maybe.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the other Uriah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Uriah Faber and Alex
California
Caceres.
kid.
California kid.
He's still got it.
I was watching this fight, and I was like, I said to you, I was like, he is just so strong. He's typical wrestler, you know, has the strength from within and just wrestles the crap out of his opponents.
Yeah.
But in a good way. Usually.
He will wear you down.
Well, it's not lay and pray.
As opposed to literally, right?
As opposed to literally.
Yeah.
No, it's not that, you know, the wrestling's the lay and pray that we see sometimes. It's active, fun wrestling. What do you think about that,
I
George?
think so. I mean, I agree. He's the guy who's going to wear you down. He's going to tear you down. He's going to look for that submission. He's not just trying to coast. He's definitely going to try to finish the fight, as we saw.
Right.
Winning by chokeout. Against Bruce Leroy. I know you had a tough time pronouncing his last name, but you can just call him Bruce Leroy.
Alex Caceres.
There you go.
They always have to throw that in there.
Yeah, this was a nice step up for Alex. You know, really kind of a marquee match for him. And, you know, for his part, I think he did great. Faber, I gave Faber, you know, the first two rounds, and obviously he finished it early in the third. But Alex, generally, especially in the second, I noticed he had an easier time getting up out of Faber's takedowns.
He was good
yeah.
with the takedown defense. Maybe partially he has a good build for that. He's very tall, so he was able to get one leg out and stand himself up. But Uriah Faber overall was just the stronger player in that game.
It's kind of tough for him because he's in the same division as TJ Dillashaw. You know, he's not really. I think he's won every single non-title fight. Yeah, if I'm correct. But then
in the UFC, but a former
WEC champion.
Yeah.
But then it's one of those things where do you want to put him up against a champion because he trains with TJ Dillashaw.
Of course, yeah, they're teammates and good friends.
Yeah, so it's kind of tough. I mean, who do you put Faber up against now? I mean, Barrow's going to fight against Dillashaw in about a month and a half.
Right.
Cruz just announced he's going to come back. He's going to fight Takeya Mizugaki.
I would like to see, after that fight, Cruz and Faber. And the winner of that fight, Barrow and TJ.
I think that they will do that soon as they can after the Mizugaki fight, presuming that Cruz comes out. I mean, hey, even if he doesn't win against Mizugaki, it all depends on how the match goes. Cruz versus Faber is something that you've got so much storyline there that
absolutely,
you know, even with a loss, there are ways of spinning it. You know, Faber has not won the big one that he's been chasing after. Cruz comes off of hypothetically, you know, if he comes off, it comes a loss. That's after 2.5 years. You know, it's understandable. Yeah. But I think that's something both guys are familiar. But the fans are familiar with Cruz and Faber enough that when the UFC reminds the fans, oh yeah, we haven't done that match yet. Right. People will go, yeah, I'd like to see that. You know.
Do you think even if Cruz loses, Uriah still has to fight him before he has a chance at the title shot?
Well, I think that probably makes more sense than it does to try and pit. You're going to have an easier time booking Cruz and Faber between the two camps than Cruz and Dillashaw. Right. That's going to cost a lot of money, you know, because they're both going to want a high amount to book that. Cruz versus Faber, you know, depending on how their contracts are set up, you know, that may cost. It's going to cost whatever it was going to cost previously when they tried to book this thing, you know. I think
at some point or another we're going to have to see Uriah Faber and TJ Dillashaw. Uriah Faber said in his post.
I like that. I love that storyline.
I see it, but I think it's not going to happen.
Well, Uriah said I wouldn't like that fight. Yeah. He came out and said I wouldn't like to have that fight, but I wouldn't say no to it.
Well, what about Uriah Faber versus the guy that we just saw win last month, Brian Caraway?
That's an interesting one. He is on an upswing. Yeah. We're cheating here a little bit, checking out the ratings right in front. The
I'm
rankings,
not looking
rather.
at them, but I don't need to know the rankings to know that Brian Caraway needs a few more before he can go against Uriah Faber.
Well, why? I mean, wouldn't you say the same about Caceres?
What is Faber ranked?
2.
Okay.
And Caraway is number 8, and Alex Caceres was number 10. Ironically, it looks like his stock went up 1.
Right, but Caraway's a new number 8, if that makes any sense. He just came in and got that.
But at the same time, I think everyone else above him is pretty much booked.
Okay.
Faber just coming off a win. Caraway, I'm sure he wants to prove himself, so he wants to get somebody who's ranked higher than him.
Right.
And just a thought.
Well, okay.
That's an interesting one.
Faber is the kind of guy I think that's, okay, give me the fight. Let's go. I'll run through him. So with that attitude being said, I think that could happen. Yeah. So I don't completely disagree with it, but I want to see Faber go up. I really want to see, kind of want to see that teammate battle.
Yeah, I mean it'd be interesting.
Or even the Dominic Cruz Faber battle.
Yeah,
but we'll talk
both
about
of
that
those
later.
are fun.
We got to get on to the next one. Uriah Hall, Thiago Santos. We talked about it a little bit. Let's just clarify. Uriah Hall in the first round had a really bad broken toe. It didn't look so bad in the first round, but by the third round, the bone was poking out of the skin and had sliced right through.
Yeah.
He was still throwing head kicks with that foot.
Yep.
He was throwing body kicks with that foot, spinning back kicks. Still actively competing in the match. Jay, you mentioned he was stalking Thiago.
Yeah, a lot of the match, I think Thiago was looking to counter-strike. It seemed like it was a strategy.
I agree.
And Hall, I don't want to give the wrong impression. He looked better in this match than he has in previous matches, at least in the UFC, not including TUF, where he would just, kind of
run
Terminator guys, with head kicks. In this one, I did see a lot of improvement. And then especially watching on TV, realizing the guy's fighting with a broken toe, that's that much more impressive of a performance.
I think that's why that fight played better on TV, because they were really dramatizing the broken toe. Whereas you said, "Oh, was it that bad?" When you see, because they probably didn't show it in the arena so vividly.
It was poking out only a little bit. It wasn't that much out of the skin.
It was still kind of painful to watch, especially when he kept throwing that right
kick
to the body,
I was
to
like,
the head. It's like,
I was almost like, switch your stance and throw your other kick. Like it was. Oof.
Santos was using his leg kicks really well also, though.
Yeah, he was throwing some also inside leg kicks.
Yeah, so Uriah Hall continues to evolve, and hopefully we'll continue to see him really embrace the
I feel like he's climbing
excitement.
a small hill, and he's on his way to the big mountain, but there needs to be like a flip switch in between.
Yeah.
I
like
mean,
a change in camp, a change in something.
I wouldn't put him up against somebody who's ranked so far, maybe like a Patrick Cote.
Okay.
If somebody who is ranked, maybe like a Tim Boach, somebody who does have that experience, and if Uriah Hall beats them, then
Boach is down at didn't he drop down
should
to
be 14.
85?
85.
He's at 85.
But Uriah Hall's 85.
Oh, you're right. I take that back. I'm thinking of the days of 205. Don't listen to me.
Yeah. Have we seen Uriah Hall recently up against one of those top 15 competitors?
Not yet. I mean, he just beat Chris Weidman, who was kind of on the way out anyway.
We were talking about him earlier.
You saw the writing on the wall for Chris Weidman.
Right.
But now, I mean, he beat a guy, Thiago Santos. I think give him up against somebody who has the experience. Patrick Cote, former top middleweight contender. Of course, he lost to Anderson Silva. I mean, everybody loses.
Right, that's not a big loss.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Right.
So, I mean, put him up against somebody who's got experience. Put him up against, a Tim Bosch or who knows, maybe even like a CB Dalloway. But I think that's a little too much high.
Yeah, maybe Tim Bosch and see what happens from there.
Or like a Patrick Cote.
Maybe bring that killer instinct out in him. Maybe when he actually gets in a battle that's so competitive, we'll see more of that killer instinct come out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to dig deep, kind of like John Jones and Gustafsson.
Those guys,
dig down deep, realize that he was on the cusp
and he's
of possibly losing. And, what have you really got?
He's got to really turn it on.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, obviously, we're skipping over Stefan Struve, unfortunately.
Stefan? I know the doctor kept calling him
The doctor
Stefan.
said Stefan.
Wasn't that an interesting interview?
Did you
the
guys
doctor
watch that?
And Mike Goldberg.
That was funny. It was the
Stefan
doctor.
Struve. Well, Stefan. No, Stefan. Yeah, about Stefan.
Jack Stefan.
They were going back and forth, and they kept saying.
Kudos if you know that
name
reference,
wrong.
by the way. I know probably somebody on the other side of the table doesn't know what that is, but I'm sure
missed
Jay
Was
did.
it a WWE reference?
Absolutely not.
Was it a wrestling reference?
Absolutely not.
Was it a reference that was before the 90s?
I think so.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
That will stump our girl there.
Maybe early 90s before you were born.
Anyway, next was Ronda Rousey, Alexis Davis. I'm super excited to talk about this.
Hold on. Let me watch it again. Hold on.
Time it. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to watch it real quick.
We're down to 10
and
seconds
it's
left.
over.
No, hold on. Okay, it ended.
Okay. So, Ronda Rousey, obviously.
Let me watch it again.
The women's bantamweight title holder, champion. She has defended the belt over and over and over again.
Even dating back to the Strikeforce days. I mean,
yeah, she was Strikeforce champ, moved right into the UFC, became UFC champ, and has defended it to this day. And has been
She likes
very
to point out that she's had more title matches than she's had non-title matches.
That's
Probably
that's
includes her amateur
point.
career.
I think she's got a total time of like 24 minutes in the octagon.
Yeah, it's
I
very
remember
low.
seeing that stat.
It's very
Yeah.
low.
That's
Well, her MMA career, I think, is engulfed in 4 years.
If that.
pretty much.
If
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
So she went
4
from
years.
her first amateur. It's 4 years. Her first amateur fight to now has been 4 years in MMA in general. Obviously, an amazing, incredible Olympic judo background.
Yeah.
But her 4 years in MMA. Anyway, it was a 16-second fight. A good overhand right by Ronda Rousey to Alexis Davis.
To a hip toss takedown.
To a
Those judo
nice knee to
throws,
the
man.
liver.
Yep.
Nice judo toss, landed in side control, ground and pound. I think it was 9 punches we counted.
Yeah.
It's funny, like
Yeah,
you always
it's
hear
over.
people that say, like, "Oh, I'm gonna break your face with my fist," but Ronda ended up having a broken hand. She literally broke her hand on Alexis Davis's face.
Guys, we have Uriah Hall on the line with us right now.
Really?
Get out of here.
Uriah, you're on the AFTERBUZZ TV UFC After Show.
How's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Uriah.
Hey, welcome to UFC Afterbuzz. Uriah, amazing fight. We were just talking about your warrior spirits.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you guys so much.
I have to ask you, did you we were talking about digging deep as a fighter at this level. Did you have to dig deep after that broken toe, after that first round?
Yes, like I had to dig deep, but it was a combination of things, sometimes emotions kind of take over, even though most of the time you don't rely on emotions. It's just action that really helps. But with my karate background, I was taught to, push through pain a little bit and overcome that, because pain is mostly temporary and it only lasts so much. So I just have to fight through it and suck it out.
Was there much pain in that? I'm wondering about the adrenaline that you had going during the match. We saw you, kind of sitting down afterwards. I'm sure that adrenaline dump probably kicked in and it hurt even more after the fact.
To be honest, it wasn't really too much adrenaline, I could say. It was the fact that, I don't know if I could say it on the air. I just
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
We let the guests say what they're
I just went through my little fuck it phase. I said fuck it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes in life you just gotta say fuck it and just go in full force. I know I had a broken toe, so I said to myself, okay, I have three limbs left. I got 2 hands, I got 1 foot, and I was trying to figure out how can I move without feeling off balance. And each movement I just felt, it was hurting. But I felt like I've been through so much already that a little small toe, I just put it as a really small minimum thing that it wasn't going to stop me.
Yeah, you got 9 others. Who cares?
That was
There
awesome.
you go.
I mean, how's the toe right now?
To be honest, I'm actually walking already.
Oh, wow.
I'm a little
Wow.
stubborn. I don't listen to it.
We're speaking of you being on the rise, on a quick rise, and seeing you against more top 15, top 10 competitors. Who would you like to fight next?
Man, I've been asked that question a lot. I do have a bunch of people I'd rather not say, because I'm not the type to call people out.
Okay.
But to give you an idea, I like to fight the best. And
Yeah.
for me, professionally, it's just go up against someone that's at a higher caliber, because I think I just want to get better. But to others, it's like, oh, you smack talking and
Absolutely.
See, but that's...
But as a martial artist, I just want to get better.
Yeah, you're right. This is J-Tan. I have full respect for that and have admired you since seeing you on the show. But that's a little bit. I'm not sure how much of the of our show you caught a little bit earlier, but we were talking about in that next level, and kind of lacking that that killer instinct. I'll use those words because I think they came out of my mouth. But that's the kind of thing we want from you, man. I think, as I said, the fans, I think they're bought on you, they're sold on you already. But that's the next part of the whole puzzle is, you know, I think there's a respectful way of calling out guys. I think the fans are certainly behind you, and it's very clear that you take that. You hold that kind of reverence and martial arts philosophy, the humility, if you will. You hold that very near and dear to your heart. I wouldn't ever try to change you, but come on, give us a name, man. Come on. Who do you like better, Tim Boach or?
The fan,
yeah.
Everybody wants, but you know what? It's not about that, and I'm going to stick with it because I've been like that for a long time. That's how I am, and I've been questioning it for a long time. And you know, the fans would be with you when you're on top, and they're the first to be against you when you're at the bottom. So I don't really do it for fans. I do it for myself and my friends and my family, because to me, those are the people I don't really have to explain myself to. If it was up to me, I'll just go in there and fight. I wouldn't have to do this media bullshit and all that. I don't need it. You know, it's a fight. It's simple. Just go in there and fight. Well, I have to do all that. But I get it. You got to sell it. You got to do all that stuff. You got to hype it up. You got to create a drama. I'm not about that. You know, I'm real. So I don't need to do that.
I think you can sell it with your old school karate respect mentality as well. Just pleading the fifth and remaining silent and respectful can also sell. So
no, it can't. No, it can't, man.
Oh my God.
No, them house payments and that car note, that's real too. You're right. You deserve to be at the top. You know, I think you're one of those guys that has it, and as I've said, the fans are sold. But let's get you to that next level. Let's see the superstardom. You know, you got to put it out there a little bit. Who do you want worse, Tim Boach or CB Dalloway?
I'm not gonna do it anyone else's way, because you know what? People are afraid of you when you're different. So what's wrong with being a little different?
Everyone
else
it.
Is doing it. So just
fair point.
I'm not doing it. All of a sudden, it's a problem. I'm not gonna do it.
I like it, Uriah Hall.
So now that you're walking around, do you have a timetable for when you plan on fighting again?
Yeah, once I'm healed up, you know, I was training. I was already training, so they told me not to do anything. So
That's a fighter.
That's a fighter.
That's a fighter.
I'm trying to figure out how I can move and see what I can and cannot do.
At what point did the toe? I'm trying to I was watching it over again. At what point did the toe start to hurt?
Right away. I remember throwing a front kick, and he kicked at the same time. I don't know where I kicked him. And I looked down. I don't know if you saw the video. I looked down on my foot, and I saw my toe shifted. And I looked at him, and I think he just kind of gave me a nod. I don't know what that nod meant. But
like, I did that to your toe. Oh, my God.
Fill us in, Uriah. You've been training down at Rain with Mark Munoz and those guys in the OC for a bit, right?
Yeah.
Is that your permanent place right now, or what's going on with you?
Well, I usually go out there for a couple of months and, you know, train with Rain, work on my wrestling ground game. And then I'll go to Portland. I work with my boxing coach, Clayton Hires, and he's more of my, like, you know, mentor and stand-up coach, and plus Chael is out there too. So we get a good team going out there. And Portland is just basically for my mindset, because I think a lot of times in the fight, if you don't have that clear mind to focus, you can't really perform. And even me, you know, I got a little starstruck by the bright lights, and I paid for it. So I just went out there to just be more, you know, cool, calm, collected. And we worked on a lot of stuff to implement that, and it worked out for the best, because while I broke my toe, I remember my training, and I just went into the fuck it phase. I did well.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a perfect example of that mentality that we saw this weekend. I was watching your face, and I loved it. You just had your hands down. You had this glare going towards Dhiego, and you were just moving forward with your hands down. And the best part was he was reacting and moving backward as if you were hitting him. So it was awesome to see.
Well, I did that, and Joe Rogan, only a few people would understand it. Joe Rogan actually said that that's actually a smart way, you know, if I'm in that situation, since I broke my toe, because I wanted him to hit me, because I knew my toe was broken. So I said, okay, I got to end this quick. So by me dropping my hands, you know, it's almost like a bait. And you know,
right,
I was trying to get him to fall for it.
Absolutely, and I think it worked.
Yeah.
All right, Uriah Hall. So awesome having you on. Seriously, thank you for calling in. This is Daria Berenato.
What a great surprise.
Yes, very great surprise. You're welcome anytime.
Well, somebody, I forgot his name. I did an interview with Suri, and he.
Oh right,
he
yeah.
tweeted me. He's like, "Hey man, call up." I was like, "Okay, no problem."
I'm here, Uriah. I'm in the booth. Thanks so much. Sorry about J-Tan's incessant questioning. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not sorry about it. To be continued, my friend.
All right, you got to come back soon, though, Uriah.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime, man.
Anytime.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Uriah Hall.
Cheers.
All right.
Well, check that out.
So
Thank you so
cool.
much, Steven, for setting that up.
Steven, awesome.
Shout out to the producer in the
Social
booth.
media back
Yep.
there.
Way to go, Stefan.
If I wasn't a fan of Uriah Hall 10 minutes ago, I am sold more than ever right now.
And you were anyway.
I was anyway.
Yeah.
We were talking about how much we liked him before, but just
UFC Afterbuzz. Bring in the stars. Bring in the pain. Like a broken toe.
alrighty. On
All
that
right.
note,
What we haven't talked about is this main event.
yes. Okay. So Ronda Rousey beat the crap out of Alexis Davis. 16-second
happened.
fight.
Yep.
Hold on, real quick. Who's next for Ronda Rousey? I say number one,
By
Kat
process of
Zingano.
elimination, it's got to be Kat Zingano.
Got to be Kat Zingano. Well overdue. Should have happened before Alexis Davis. Should have happened before maybe even Misha.
I mean, she
yeah, it
had her
should've.
things. I mean, it was going to happen.
Ranking wise, it should have.
It was
she was-
going to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then
She was
got
supposed
hurt.
to coach against her on Ultimate Fighter.
She got hurt. A couple personal issues, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, so gave her all the time she needed.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's the one that makes the most sense. I kind of wonder remember when Joe Rogan came out and told, hey, we need a main event slot. Would you like to fight? Of course, this was before knowing that Ronda broke her hand. It's just kind of
You're
like
talking about August
2nd from Los Angeles.
176.
The first thing I thought was, who does she fight? I mean, even if Kat Zingano wasn't ready, because I know that's kind of quick. Like, who else would she fight?
Well,
I
they
mean,
didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were saying.
Yeah.
Clearly, Dana White was very mad at not Joe Rogan personally, but whoever
producers in
whispered
the
in
back,
his
yeah.
ear
Production monkeys
Yep.
in the back. Yeah.
For asking her that. But I would say Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano was in Grappler's Quest at UFC Fan Expo this weekend. She had a 14-second flying armbar and took home the gold medal. So I think Kat Zingano's
She's getting there.
she's getting there.
Back on track.
If not her, we need some girls outside
Mm-hmm.
of the UFC, I think, to step in. I think we need some Holly Holm action in here.
Or some cyborg.
Or maybe
Having
some
the same
Cyborg.
conversation we've had for the past how many
All
months?
right, all right.
You know,
Hit
yeah.
the
No,
nail
I
on the head,
agree
but-
with you completely. Holly would be a really interesting challenge
Mm-hmm.
as far as the striking goes. Of course, Cyborg probably is the best like total package challenge for Ronda.
Right.
But there's the question about the weight and of course the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Carano. Some people were saying that she was looking good working out at Black House, a couple of weeks or
really?
months ago.
Okay.
I also hear other stories that, she's just not there kind of mentally or physically.
Okay.
So
Well, she's
remains
had,
to be seen. But-
half a decade break, and she's been acting and doing whatever else. So
Yeah.
we wish her the best of luck either way. The main event, the UFC middleweight title, it's Chris Weidman, Lyoto Machida. That was a battle, but I think it was clearly won.
I mean, Chris Weidman, this was his first opportunity to really show what he's worth. Because I know a lot of people thought of his last two wins. I know some people don't. A lot of other people thought his last two wins were kind of, it's because Silva was showing off. Oh, well, it's because Silva, hurt himself.
Freak accident.
Yeah, so now this was his first chance to really face somebody who, is going to bring it as well. I know Silva did as well. But it was a chance, and he definitely succeeded.
Yeah. When you dominate Lyoto Machida, dominate may be a strong word, but when you have 4 strong rounds to 1, at least, against a guy like Lyoto Machida, former light heavyweight champion,
He definitely can knock someone out
yourself.
too. Machida can knock someone out too. So don't be fooled by his his passive aggressiveness or his defense or his karate stance. He can knock someone out.
I think he was doing typical Machida demeanor, which is to study.
Yeah.
And then to prey on his.
He's a counter striker that likes to tempt you in, almost like the Venus flytrap of MMA mentality.
Yeah, he is a very successful counter striker. You saw that. I think it was in the 3rd round, possibly. Weidman came in and Machida was just there with the right hand, and it was the perfect timing.
Yeah.
So he's very calculated and very smart when it comes to that. I just don't think he was aggressive enough for this fighter.
Definitely was not. I mean, that's the trick. That's the counterpoint to counter striking strategies is that if you are waiting too much, then you end up looking like you're not engaging at all.
Right.
And the funny thing is with Weidman, I think we really saw this in his 2 Anderson Silva fights. Weidman strikes me as one of the most patient fighters in there. He was able to overcome Anderson Silva's mind games in there, and we saw him patient and looked for his shot. He found his shot against Silva. I think that same thing happened with Machida. He didn't let Machida get into his head, and he didn't chase after Machida to the point of getting caught in it. He did, he was the more aggressive and more aggressive one, and he stalked Machida around, but not to the point of getting caught, in the Venus flytrap, if you will.
Clearly the dominant fighter, clearly the fighter that had control of the cage and the distance between the two of them.
Yep, cage generalship.
I think,
stayed busy.
Like we were talking about when we were watching this, maybe Weidman still has something to prove, George may have said. But I think a good point to prove is that Weidman is very calculated, and he is patient, and he does fight smart. He may not be, the biggest aggressor or, the KO guy that everybody wants as the champ, but I think he's a smart and disciplined fighter. Yeah,
I would disagree that he's not necessarily what you just said, the KO guy. I mean, let's talk about his finish over Mark Munoz.
Right.
And I'm trying to think who else, what other ones come to mind. But the guy is somebody that I think has. He's got a great corner, great strategy guys in Ray Longo and Matt Serra. He's one that's able to adapt to other guys' strategies, and find what's the right counter strategy to beat them.
Right. No, he has knockout power, and of course we've seen it in the past. But I think he's a very well disciplined fighter overall.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be fun to see him what he goes up against. Coming up, of course, there's talk about Vitor Belfort,
right?
Laying in the cut there, waiting for his shot. Jacare as well, I think.
I say really give the Mousasi, because I guess it was supposed to be Mousasi against Jacare at the LA show that got canceled. I think I got moved up to like a fight night, but yeah, I think that should be a #1 contenders fight as well.
Yeah.
Especially, I think Jacare is the man. I mean, this guy, I think he should have got a title shot probably like 6 months ago already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think him and Weidman would match up well. Definitely Jacare is somebody you do not want to get on the ground with. And Weidman,
he's nasty.
Yeah, of course. And that guy's got great striking. So him, Vitor, Mousasi, definitely.
I wish there was a non-Brazilian for him to fight. For Weidman's sake.
Weidman is such...
Luke Rockhold?
Maybe. Before too long, yep.
Not yet, but yeah, in the near future. Weidman is the golden boy. He's the all-American golden boy. We love to love him. So that's why I was surprised you said there was some booing.
Let's talk about that.
Because it was July. Let me just say this. It was July 4th.
Yeah.
Okay. Independence Day. Chris Weidman, hometown boy. America's sweetheart.
U.S. versus Brazil.
U.S. versus Brazil.
Yeah.
World Cup. Brazil just lost. U.S. has been out, so I guess that's a factor. And he was also walking out with the American flag that a platoon of troops had given to him. I don't know if you guys heard this.
Didn't know that story.
One of his friends is in the troops, is in the army. And his platoon got their flag that they had drug through war over in Afghanistan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They all signed it and said, "We want you to wear this out there."
Oh, geez.
And we want
That's
you to
cool.
like. I got chills saying that.
Yeah.
We want you to represent our nation. We're proud to call you one of our own. And he walked out with the American flag on, and he was in the moment. He had his red, white, and blue shirt on, and so I just couldn't believe that the crowd didn't take all that in. It wasn't like the most patriotic night of the UFC.
There were a lot of USA chants, but probably towards the second half of the match.
Okay.
I think it matters where it was too. I mean, it was in Vegas. I think if it was maybe more of like in a Texas.
I was just gonna say the same thing.
Red State.
Yeah.
Red State of the East Coast.
That's very true.
I'm sure that crowd would have went ballistic.
That's very true. I'm from New Jersey. I'm thinking if this was in Atlantic City, we would have gone nuts.
Yeah, Weidman fighting in Jersey.
Yeah.
Shoot, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
All right, on to our next event. We're gonna talk about the Ultimate Fighter season finale 19. It was on Sunday.
Where's my sheet here? Let me grab this for cheat sheets.
Frankie Edgar, BJ Penn.
Yeah.
We also had Corey Anderson, Matt Van Buren. They were fighting for the light heavyweight
contract of Ultimate Fighter 19.
Six-figure contract into the UFC. Eddie Gordon and Dhiego Lima, they were fighting for the middleweight contract for the UFC.
All four guys, Team Red, Frankie Edgar. Team Edgar, all in the finals there.
Isn't that interesting?
And to me, very much they were very much the similar match, or the same match.
Yeah.
To run down real quickly, Eddie Gordon and Dhiego Lima. Eddie Gordon won by TKO in the first round, as did Corey Anderson over Matt Van Buren in the first round by TKO. Both of them, Eddie Gordon and Corey Anderson came out very aggressive. Cornered their guys up against the cage, pushed them in with combos, dropped them, and against the cage, just continued to fire shots. Eddie Gordon especially was just all over the place with giant hammer fists, and finally got Lima, got side control. Well, got side position on Dhiego Lima, and just fired away with lefts, and that largely was the same thing with Corey Anderson. And then, but finishing him with right hands. So left or right, I don't know if that makes too much of a difference. They hurt. That's the point.
They both hurt. Yes, they do. I think the point to make here is that you got to think these guys, they're all put in a house to compete against each other for this UFC contract. Like you mentioned, the rest of them will get some sort of UFC contract, much smaller, not all of them.
Yeah.
But it's a very competitive atmosphere. It's not like a normal fight in the UFC. If you're a normal contracted fighter in the UFC, of course you want to win. Everyone's out there to win and tear their heads off. But at the same time, you have another chance. These guys, in some aspect...
Yeah, not necessarily the case on this season, I think.
Right. They went out there and they did not hold back.
Yeah.
They did not fight safe in this finale.
It's worth talking about as well. There were some guys from the house that fought on the undercard of this show. Of course, the two... finale matches delivered, with their fast action in the first round. But this season was marred largely. A lot of people had talked about it being kind of the most disappointing season.
Right, yes.
Including Dana White.
Yeah,
it's not just critics, it's Dana White saying...
Which is why I'm allowed to say it. I mean, if Dana says it, then we can all talk about it. We can all agree.
Yeah,
but,
it wasn't Google reviews.
Not a lot of personalities really stood out. The ratings were not the worst, I don't believe, that they've ever had, but they certainly weren't the greatest either. Right. I think probably the lower level of the 19 seasons we've had, certainly the lower half. And a lot of the matches during the show went to decision, unglamorously.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
It really is, because, I just think of, what if 125 females got that opportunity?
115.
No, what if
125?
Like my weight class is what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Got that opportunity. How much heart and soul would go into fighting in that house? And these guys have this opportunity regularly. Because guys are always getting these Ultimate Fighter seasons, and it's like, go in there and show them what you have. You're still at the point where you're proving yourself. It's not done yet. So I'm sure Dana White is going to adjust the casting process of the next season of The Ultimate Fighter. Possibly making sure personalities are better. Yeah,
I think the motivation. Well, we've got actually 2 seasons. I come to think of it, 2 seasons going on, I believe. Is that right?
Well, they got the women.
The women are recording right now.
Anthony Pettis.
Mexico.
The Mexico one,
that's happening now, I believe.
I think so.
Yeah. So they're doing 2 seasons right now. The women. I think Dana will certainly inspire and motivate the women. I don't know that they'll necessarily need it, quite frankly.
They do not, let me tell you, they do not need inspiration.
They've got something to prove.
From the word that I've heard on what's going on in the house, I'm sure they don't need anything.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah. That's just what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, you have a bunch of women in a house that are cutting weight, and then the other one's eating chocolate cake. I mean, we saw it on the 135 bantamweight house with Ronda and Misha. And then you have the one, eating chocolate cake in front of the one that's cutting weight. I mean, that's drama right there. I'm a female. I have my time of the month where I need my cake and my sweets, and where I just need to gorge.
6 weeks, which means that it's going to go at least 1 full cycle there, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I can bet there's some good drama going on in that house.
Yeah.
I can bet. And I know a couple of the girls in that house, and they are fiery little suckers, to say the least.
Well put. Well, so we had those 2 finales.
Yep.
And then we had Frankie Edgar. Frankie versus BJ Penn
at featherweight.
Can we get a want back there?
Oh no, let's not do that. No, all right. Let's just bring back Uriah Hall. Oh. BJ, that wasn't from me. I promise you, man.
I I wasn't insulting BJ, but it
No?
was a sad moment. It was like slide whistle.
Production monkey Stefan having fun in the back there.
Frankie Edgar versus BJ Penn at featherweight. This is their third battle. Their previous two was at lightweight for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the World.
That's right.
BJ Penn, the man who essentially dominated and what Dana White said built the lightweight division.
Fair assessment.
Yeah, going on his streak as lightweight champion. Here comes Frankie Edgar, beats BJ Penn by decision.
Very
beats him
closely.
again. Beats him again. Really?
The first, Abu Dhabi?
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi was a super close decision.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of argument about that one. The second one, however, in Boston, not so much though.
Right. And the third one even more decisive, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this was BJ Penn's first fight, probably in, what, a year and a half?
Something like that. 2
Well,
years.
what was spoken about after the fight was that BJ Penn and his camp had come up with some new game plan, which is normal when you fight the same guy. Like you
He had a
pointed
very
out.
different stance. He was approaching Edgar, literally and figuratively from a very different, different style. He was much more upright. Didn't have the stance that he normally has, kind of crouched down and ready to spring.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like we said earlier, going back to the drawing board after fighting the same guy twice and losing, of course you're going to come up with something new. But it was very unorthodox, and obviously it didn't work to his favor this time. Like you said, he was standing completely upright in some sort of weird boxing stance. I don't know exactly what it was.
It reminds me, there's a fighter. Here's your homework, guys.
Oh God.
Masakazu Imanari. Japanese fighter from probably the past, I'd say, 2005 through 2008 or 9. Go write it down.
How do you spell that?
Imaniri, I believe. ARI, perhaps. Leg lock specialist, but had a great career in Japan. Cage Rage, 145-pound champion, I believe. He would always come out and taunt his opponents in a very strange way. Guy wasn't quite right in the head. And one of them, I remember seeing one match, I think when he fought in Japan, he came out just straight up like that, and that was his stance,
right?
Almost literally, and would just stalk the guy down. And his opponent didn't know what to make of it.
When you do that for years and that's your thing and that's what you go with, absolutely, if it works for you, do it.
Well, it was a one-time thing, but the point is he was taunting his opponent.
I don't think you can taunt Frankie Edgar.
No, BJ certainly was not. I don't think that was necessarily the case. But who knows what exactly was the mentality behind that strategy there? It was not the BJ Penn we are used to seeing.
No, not at all.
And
I disagree.
Okay, try and argue that one.
I think
I would
BJ
love to
Penn.
hear this.
I think BJ Penn is going to be as good as he always was. I just think Frankie Edgar's that good. I think Frankie Edgar had a game plan. I think he knew what to expect. I think he did his homework. I think Frankie Edgar is one of the top guys, and I just think he's that good. But at the same time, BJ Penn, if he can't compete with the best, what's the point? But he just happened to compete with a guy. Like if BJ Penn would have fought a guy maybe a little bit lower,
Right.
I think he would have totally won.
Right.
I actually absolutely think he would have won. He just happened to face a guy who's one of the top guys, not only in that division, but in UFC.
I agree that Frankie Edgar looked amazing, and that's something to say as well, because usually when someone does so poorly, we don't give a lot of credit to the opponent. In this case, I think BJ Penn did poorly, but I think Frankie Edgar still did amazing. I didn't see him.
Yeah.
I didn't see him lay off. Like he could have laid off a little bit and not been as aggressive. I think he was very aggressive. I think he pushed forward the whole time. He actually tripped BJ Penn and took him to the ground on purpose.
Trip takedown almost looked like he just shoved him.
In his butterfly guard, beating the crap out of him from the top.
Because if you notice, he wasn't able, like he had guard, but Frankie Edgar couldn't pass it to the point where, but I think Edgar's that good where he was still able to ground and pound him, even though BJ Penn had a pretty good guard on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think Edgar's that good.
I agree. I think Edgar's very good as well.
Taking nothing away from Frankie, to be sure. But I think that BJ, at least mentally, is done with MMA.
I agree.
I would
think
say
his head was there
for now. Yeah, his head was definitely not there. We didn't see the best BJ Penn. And,
no, I mean to sit in a post-fight press conference and lay all your pride out on the table and agree with what Dana White has said in the past and say, Dana was right. It's my time. I gotta go. Going out on a loss, and he actually he defended his loss by saying, "Well, if I would have went out on a win, then
he'd be wondering, can I still go?
I still go?"
Yeah.
And he'd be wondering, "Oh, was it really a win because he beat me twice already?" So that was a weird way to put it. I think if I would have lost, I would have been like, "Damn it, I don't want to go out on a loss." But hey,
it's very valid, you know. And here's a lesson also for I'm going to pitch it to amateurs as well as the pro fighters. It's a tough lesson to learn, and I personally, having not fought, I don't know that I know the lesson to teach you guys, but I know that there is a point, and for everybody it's different, of when do you walk away from it. You know, I've got guys that fight for me that are one and done, bucket list fighters, and even though there's a term for that, that's not derogatory. You know, if you know that you only want to do it once and that's that, get it out of your system, good for you. There's much more to life than just this sport, even though it's an awesome sport. By the same token, when you're a pro, one thing we talked about when we were watching this was, I'm really happy for BJ for the fact that he's getting out at 35. He's got a ridiculously fantastic legacy to be proud of.
Absolutely.
You know? And he's got a long life to live. You know, he's got money, he's secure, and he can have a lot of a great future as a coach, as a manager. I believe his name is on a UFC gym in Hilo.
He's working on a few UFC gyms.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff, you know, a lot more things to populate his life and enjoy his life with. So
I agree. I think it's so amazing that he's, like you said, 35 years old and has accomplished what he's accomplished.
Yeah.
And can now, he has 30, 40 more years to become the greatest coach of all time, the greatest mentor of all time.
Yeah.
We could see BJ Penn's guys in 10, 20 years, and he could be a legacy as a mentor or coach. We don't know.
Can you imagine BJ Penn as the judo Jean LaBelle?
That's what I mean.
30 years from now.
Seriously, like I could so see that.
I would love to see that. I hope I'm around for it.
He's a very, very cool guy. So I wish him the best of luck with whatever he pursues after this. He's always going to be a successful
guy.
Guys,
go study your BJ Penn. It is seriously worth it. Fact,
Baby J, the Prodigy.
Yep, Baby J, the Prodigy. Was it 2005, 2004? He fought Lyoto Machida at heavyweight. This is a guy that just made 45 this weekend.
He's insane.
He showed up at 191 pounds, okay? Machida showed up at 225. Just do the math on the weigh-in difference alone. And they fought. And
they went to decision, if anything.
Exactly, went all the way.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. That is a very...
Go watch his fights with Kenny Florian, Matt Hughes, Matt Serra, Dhiego Sanchez, GSP. He has given us some gems. Trust.
See, I think a fair case for the best pound-for-pound fighter should be given to somebody like him, because he's a guy who can go weight class to weight class and be successful in multiple ones.
Well, yeah, I think that's the true definition of a pound-for-pound best fighter. They give it to some people, and I'm like, but how do you know? They haven't been in different weight classes. BJ Penn has. Guys,
are we ending?
Are we wrapping up?
We are. I'm hearing the music here.
All right. Guys, thank you. Tune in. We will be back on the 20th of this month to talk about some awesome fights. Thank you.
My birthday's in a week. I accept presents.
J-Day as
July
well.
16.
Yep.
Same birthday.
Where can we find you on Twitter?
I'm Daria Berenato. Find me at DariaB28.
JTAN716, or also U of MMA.
George Hermoza at G Hermoza, July 16th, my birthday.
Also mine. Find my wish list on Amazon, or also go buy this book. Is this legal? Thank you.
Oh, that book. I already have it.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.